India has now become a major center of diabetes in the world. More than 10 crore people here are diabetic and 13 crore people are pre-diabetic, which means that they are at a risk of getting diabetes. Imagine, in this country with a population of 130 crore, there are 23 crore people who are either diabetic or are at a serious risk of getting diabetes. In fact, you can see this map in which all the states which are in red have more than 10% of the people suffering from diabetes. In states like Goa, Kerala, and Puducherry, this figure is more than 25%. 1 in every 5 diabetic people in the whole world is an Indian, and this disease is spreading so fast in India that it can be called an epidemic. If we look at the last 4 years, the number of diabetes patients in the country has increased from 7 crores to 10 crores. There are many shocking reasons behind this, like some companies, our genetic structure, and PM 2.5 pollution. Therefore, in today's video, we will try to understand this topic in detail. This disease is among the 10 most dangerous diseases in the world, which also includes serious diseases like heart disease, lung disease, and cancer. Every year, about 3.4 million people die worldwide due to diabetes. Diabetes was first discovered by the Egyptians 3,000 years ago. This disease was discovered in India sometime later. At that time, to detect diabetes, the urine of the patient was taken out and kept near ants. If ants came in it, it meant that the patient had diabetes. This is why this disease is called madhume in Hindi, which means honey urine. In common parlance, people who have diabetes are said to have sugar. Many diabetic patients take insulin shots, as diabetes has a direct relationship with blood sugar levels and insulin. Glucose is the source of energy for our body cells. When we consume carbohydrates, it first gets converted into glucose. However, this glucose does not reach the cells directly, but is released into our blood, which increases the blood sugar level. To remove this glucose from the blood and deliver it to the body cells, a hormone called insulin is released in our pancreas. If we imagine the body cells as a lock, then insulin is its key, which opens the cells and allows glucose to enter. But in some people, the insulin production stops in the body, or is produced in very less quantity. In some people, the insulin production is fine, but its quality is poor. And when this happens, the glucose is unable to reach the cells and remains in the blood, due to which the blood sugar starts increasing. And this condition is called diabetes. There are mainly 2 types of diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease, in which the body's immune system attacks and destroys the insulin-producing beta cells in the pancreas. As a result, insulin production in the body stops. It requires the patient to take insulin injections throughout his life. Type 2 diabetes mostly occurs in older people, and there can be many different reasons for it, like obesity, lifestyle, food choices, and many other reasons, and to control it, one has to take insulin shots. But along with this, it can also be controlled by taking medicines, weight control, lifestyle changes, and exercise. 90% of people around the world are affected by type 2 diabetes, while only 10% of people suffer from type 1 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is considered more dangerous because diabetic individuals often face other health problems. In most cases, these people also develop the problem of high cholesterol, which has a serious impact on 4 vital organs like heart, legs, and kidneys, and serious issues start developing. Ancient doctors in India, such as Sushruta and Charaka, accurately described the 2 types of diabetes. However, if you search for proper literature on diabetes in India, you will find it only between 1800 and 1900. This literature was mostly published in Calcutta and Madras Presidency, and these 2 regions are said to be the worst affected by diabetes cases at that time. Knowledge of diabetes existed for thousands of years. The discovery of insulin shots to control it happened only about 100 years ago. Before 1921, diabetes cases were very low worldwide, but a sudden explosion has been observed in the last 40 years since 1980. Today, India and China have the highest number of diabetic people. If we look at the situation in China, today more than 11% of the population is diabetic, whereas in 1980 this figure was only 0.6%. In India, too, the number of diabetic people has increased by 250% between 1990 and 2006. In fact, if you look at the global level, between 1980 and 2008, the number of diabetic people has increased from 15 crore to 34 crore. It is really dangerous for a serious disease like diabetes to spread so quickly and rapidly. Therefore, it becomes very important to understand the reasons behind it. There is a major factor in the spread of diabetes: genetic reasons. If one of the parents has diabetes, the child's chances of developing this disease increase by 3.5 times. And if both parents are diabetic, this chance increases up to 6 times. Compared to a healthy parent, diabetes is thus genetically transmitted and continues to grow. This is the reason why its growth is increasing exponentially nowadays. There is another factor behind diabetes which is geographically located. Research shows that if we compare a person coming from South Asian countries like India or Pakistan with a white person of the same age, gender, and body index, then the insulin resistance will be higher in a person coming from India or Pakistan. That is why the chances of Indians getting diabetes increase by 3 to 5 times in comparison to white people. And the data also shows the same thing, that today, 40% of diabetic people in the whole world live in only 2 countries, India and China. Apart from this, we also have diabetes in many different ways. Typically, you must have heard that the chances of an overweight person getting diabetes are higher. There are many types of conditions in case of diabetes. Generally, you must have heard that overweight people are more likely to get diabetes. This is true to a great extent in Western countries, but in India, obese as well as thin people are more likely to get this disease. In fact, about 20 to 30% of diabetic people in India fall in the non-obese or lean category. The reason for this is that these people have less body fat, but fat gets deposited in their liver and pancreas. Due to this fat deposit, their insulin resistance increases, due to which they become diabetic. The next region is economic development. You might think that economic development is good, but diabetes is also closely linked to it. When a country develops economically, people start eating more and reduce physical activity. This has been the case in the last few decades, especially people are shifting towards fast food, due to which the problem of obesity and diabetes is increasing rapidly. When you look at the situation in America in the 1960s, you find that the World War had ended and the economy was slowly improving. During this time, people started eating more and exercising less. If you notice, major fast food chains of America, like KFC, Pizza Hut, and Domino's, were established during this time. Its effect also became clear in the next 20 years. By 1980, the problem of obesity started spreading like an epidemic in America. Today, more than 40% of the population of America falls in the obese or overweight category, and about 10% of the population now has diabetes. The economic boom in China started in the 1980s, when only 0.6% of the people in the country were suffering from diabetes. In 1987, KFC opened its first store in China, which was the first Western fast food company there. Today, KFC has more than 4,000 stores in China, which is almost equal to the U.S. Gradually, other American fast food chains also started spreading in China. As these fast food chains became popular in China, the cases of obesity and diabetes also started increasing rapidly. By 2010, 90 million Chinese people were affected by diabetes, while 150 million people had become pre-diabetic. This is not surprising, as this condition was the most common condition in the U.S. in 1960. Today, China has the highest number of obese people in the world, with almost 40% of its population being obese or overweight. In addition, more than 10% of the population here has developed diabetes. The 1990s in India are considered the decade of junk food and cola wars. After liberalization in 1991, India's economy began to open up to foreign brands, and this was followed by a rapid influx of cola products and junk food restaurants. Brands like Pizza Hut, Domino's, and KFC enter India almost simultaneously. Before their entry, in 1990, the number of diabetes patients in India was only 26 million, but 30 years later, in 2016, this number increased to 65 million. Today, about 20% of the people in India are diabetic. Examples of China, America, and India tell us how closely the fast food lifestyle is linked to the growth of diabetes. In India, along with fast food consumption and globalization, another special factor is also associated with it, due to which diabetes grew very fast. Surprisingly, its name is Green Revolution. During 1960, there was so little food in India that we had to import it. Then we started Green Revolution in Punjab. India became a food surplus country, but our crop diversity started decreasing. We started producing and consuming wheat and rice the most. We gradually replaced healthy millets like jowar and bajra with wheat and rice, which are high in carbohydrates. Rice production in the country has increased fivefold in the last 70 years. It has increased by almost 200% since the 1980s and 90s. During the same period, the number of diabetic people in our country has also grown by almost the same percentage. Before independence, rice consumption was highest among the people of Madras and Bengal Presidency in India, and these were the two areas where the highest number of diabetes cases were seen. Dr. T.G. Megan reported in 1885 that the highest number of diabetes cases were found in the rice-eating population in India. After this, Indian Medical Service Officer H. Stott also established this relationship through further study. He said that the number of diabetes patients in Madras Presidency was higher than in Bengal Presidency, and the same ratio was seen among the rice-eating population in both these areas. Then, in 1895, Dr. K.C. Bose showed the same result in a study. Look at this map of today's time, in which the purple area has the highest consumption of rice. The second map clearly shows that these are the same areas where the percentage of diabetes patients is also the highest. Apart from rice consumption, the speed of urbanization in India has also increased rapidly in the last few decades. This means that people are moving from villages to cities. In fact, today, 36% of India's population lives in urban areas, whereas in 1980, this number was only 23%. In this way, such a large population has shifted from villages to cities in such a short time, and 16% of the people living in these urban areas are currently diabetic. According to a research, when urbanization takes place, then there is a radical change in the lifestyle and consumption of people. The physical movement of people is restricted because there is less space in the cities, and along with that they start consuming more packaged food containing sugar and saturated fats. Due to this, along with urbanization, there is a sharp increase in obesity and diabetes. In fact, this lifestyle shift is now affecting rural areas as well. Here too, its impact is increasing rapidly. In 2011, only 2.7% of the rural population was diabetic, but in just 10 years this figure has reached 9%. The trend of packaged foods and convenient products is now increasing rapidly in cities as well as villages. Due to the change in the way of consuming these, diabetes cases are increasing here too. Along with urbanization, pollution has also reached its peak. According to PM 2.5 pollution worldwide, 39 out of the top 50 polluted cities are from India. This means that almost 80% of the cities are from India only. The next thing may be a bit surprising, but researchers have proven that there is a close correlation between PM 2.5 pollution and diabetes. A major reason for the rapid increase in diabetes is our aging population. 40% of diabetes patients in the whole world are found only in China and India. If we look at the statistics of these two countries, it is clear that most diabetic people are 65 years of age or older. In China, 50% of diabetic patients are 65 years of age or older, while in India, this figure is 40%. For those who are above 60 years of age, the situation is going to become even more serious all over the world. If you look at the data of 1950, the share of people above 65 years of age in the population was only 5%, which has now almost doubled to 9%. It is estimated that by 2050 this figure will reach 16%. This means that the elderly population is increasing all over the world, while the population of young people is decreasing. This situation is called population collapse. But one of the biggest dangers is that the number of diabetes patients can increase rapidly. Although medical science has not been able to cure this disease yet, a lot of research is being done on this problem worldwide. Hopefully, a solution will emerge soon. In fact, our Punjab Agricultural University is also working in this direction. These people have already developed a wheat variety that can control the rising cases of type 2 diabetes to a great extent. Some researchers from Cornell University in the U.S. have also claimed that they can convert human gastric stem cells into insulin-producing cells. However, its clinical trials have not been completed yet. From the information I have provided you, you must be understanding how serious this problem is. Some of its causes, like genetic reasons or aging population, cannot be avoided, but lifestyle-related diabetes can be prevented. You can gradually cut out fast food, sugar, and high-carbohydrate items from your diet, and replace them with healthy alternative protein-rich diet, and develop habits like exercising on a daily basis. And you can also detect it in the early stages by getting blood checkup done on an annual basis, so that you can take necessary steps to reverse diabetes if you are going to get it.